Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Thank you, John. Listen, you're going to have to come clean here, my boy.
Uh-oh.
You're in Facebook jail, I understand. What have you done?
I was just a naughty little boy. It's amazing that this, of all things, is what lands me in Facebook jail. Back at the beginning of COVID, actually, let me see if I can find it here. Back at the beginning of COVID, I posted a meme. You know how everybody's talking about, I'm not going to believe in this science. I'm not going to believe in that science. The flu kills more people anyway, was the big thing going around. So I did up a little meme of an electrical socket and a fork. And
I remember that. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, it's blurry on the screen right now. It's one of the most shared things I have ever put on Facebook. It went around the world and back again. It's captioned, "Don't let anyone tell you not to put a fork in an electrical socket. It's your right. More people are killed by the flu anyway." And I labeled it #sarcasm. Well, yeah, a couple of days ago, Facebook... You are forbidden from broadcasting on the Blast the Radio page and this page, and you can't do this and you can't do that for 30 days. I'm a terrible human.
And they won't even take your advertising.
Well, yeah, they've banned me from that. That's the killer. What business bans somebody from advertising? I don't want your advertising dollars here on Facebook. Fine, Mark Zuckerberg, fine.
So would this be a robot that's done this, or do you think a real live human being?
No, it's all robots, and I don't know what they are programmed to look for and whatever else. It sees a fork and an electrical socket, and it probably assumes I'm encouraging someone to do self-harm or something.
It is shocking. It's quite shocking. Oh, my goodness. Well, listen, when do you get out?
So it's a 30-day ban. This is probably day 4.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $100.
Nope.
Oh my God. Okay.
I did get a chance last night. They sent me a note and I have appealed it. So at some point, maybe a human will look at it. And I'm convinced they'll look at that and they'll laugh their butts off and they'll say, you know what? That's one of the funniest things we've ever seen on Facebook. Sorry, John.
But with some of the stuff that I see on Facebook, I mean, sexually explicit stuff and everything else, and they ban John Milkey.
Oh, I know.
What's the world coming to?
Well,
John,
if they actually dug a little deeper on my Facebook, they'd probably find enough things to actually,
I would think so, yeah.
I'm going back a couple of years.
I've got a couple of other topics here.
Yeah.
Listen, more proof that green energy is the biggest scam of the century. You're not going to believe what I am about to reveal. The biggest scam of the century, the most expensive scam as well. We all know we have spent countless billions, with a B, billions of dollars installing windmills and solar panels across the province. Billions on the installations and billions more hooking them into the web, into the grid. Got web on the mind. Billion, and not only that, billions in lost revenue from jobs chased out of the province by high energy costs. And okay, we've spent God knows how many, tens of billions. I'm not exaggerating. Tens of billions. And what do we get? I mean, if we got something worthwhile here, what do we get for the billions? What do we get for the highest electricity rates in North America? So I thought, you know what? Today is a perfect day to see just what we are getting for our billions of dollars, okay? Electricity demand is expected to soar to its highest level of the year. So we all need as much power as we can generate in this province. We need everybody to kick in. We need nuclear, we need wind, we need solar, we need gas, we need all of it. So what are we getting for our billions of dollars in wind and solar? It's a perfect day because, as I say, we need the power desperately. All systems go, okay? Not only that, it's a nice sunny day. So how are the solar panels doing? Now, just so that I can give you the exact figures here, and you're not going to believe this. By 6 o'clock tonight, it's expected that we will be using about 23,000 megawatts of power. It will probably peak around 6 o'clock, okay? Air conditioning on, cooking for dinner, etc., etc. So they estimate that it'll be about 23,000 megawatts of power by 6. At noon today, we were using 20,051 megawatts. So we're close to the peak. And how much of that are we getting from our windmills and solar panels? Well, you're not going to believe this. At noon today, wind was producing, ready for this? 9 megawatts of power. 9 megawatts of more than 20,000 that we are using. 9 megawatts. 9, not 90, not 900, not 9,000. 9 megawatts of power from 42 windmill farms across the province. Folks, do the math. You know what that is? It's 0.05% of our needs. 1/2 of 1%. At noon today, when we need it the most, 42 wind farms producing 1/2 of 1%. Hey, this is not whale poop, okay? Some people say, "Oh, that's just green. He's just that stupid conservative." No. Check the government's own website, IESO.ca. See it yourself. This is the independent electrical contractors. This tells you exactly how much power by the hour we're using and where it is being produced. At noon today, 20,051 megawatts of power being burned. 9 of it, 9, produced by windmill. 1/2 of 1%. So just so that maybe people have trouble understanding this. Let me repeat. Billions of dollars worth of windmills, 42 major windmill farms across the province, and we are getting 0.05% of all of our needs. 1/2 of 1% from all of the wind. And what about all the billions of dollars worth of solar panels? I mean, we got solar panels everywhere. You look here, you see solar panels. You look there, you got solar panels, solar panels, solar panels, solar panels. Well, it's a beautiful sunny day. And you would think that the solar panels would really be kicking in, okay? Well, to be honest, they are doing a heck of a lot better than the wind, okay? But then, the wind's not doing that great. So at noon today, there are tens of thousands of solar panels eagerly sucking up the sun's rays, okay? Billions and billions of dollars worth of solar panels. They are producing 385 megawatts of 20,051. 385 of the more than 20,000 we are using. That is 1.93% of all of our needs on a bright sunny day. So combined, windmills, solar panels, the great green energy revolution that was going to transform this province, going to create a province that would be the envy of the world. It was going to revolutionize, okay? Green energy, remember? 100,000 new jobs. It was just going to create an entire new province. Combined wind and solar on a day when we need it the most, just a little bit less than 2%. A little bit less than 2%. We virtually bankrupted the province, drove 100,000 jobs out of the province as hydro rates soared to record levels. I'm sure you remember that. Rip up thousands of acres of prime farmland, chop down thousands of trees. We did. Plant windmills across the land, chase cows off pasture to make way for solar panels. And on the day when we need it the most, what do we get? Less than 2% of our needs. Let me repeat, less than 2%. You got that? Less than 2%. So, it really begs the question. All of the green energy folks, the environmental wingnuts, are claiming that we're going to scrap all fossil fuels will be gone. We're not going to have any more fossil fuels. That means we're not going to have oil. We're not going to have gas. We're not going to have natural gas. We won't have propane. Okay, it's all going to be fired. I'm not sure about nuclear. The environmentalists are pretty sketchy about nuclear as well. No, it's all going to be provided by wind and solar. Well, judging by today, it would seem to me that in order to provide enough wind and solar to power this province, you pretty well have to blanket. I mean, every backyard would have to have at least one windmill and 100 solar panels. Every backyard, okay, every no matter where you look, there would be windmills everywhere. Just coast to coast, province to province, windmills. And maybe, yeah, except what happens when the wind doesn't blow? I mean, most of these wind farms today are producing zero. So even if we dotted the landscape with windmills, had a windmill in every driveway, a windmill in every rooftop, solar panel on every roadway, every car, and the wind didn't blow like today, where would we get our power? Don't forget, within a few years, all vehicles are going to have to be electric. Not going to have any fossil fuel vehicles. But if it's only wind and solar providing the power, and the wind doesn't blow, or it's a cloudy day, what are we going to do? Has anybody ever thought about that? It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. How can we get rid of fossil fuels and nuclear, and how can we rely on wind and solar? Today is the prime example of what a fantasy this has been, what a great scam. Just think, what would happen in Ontario today if all we had was wind and solar? Not a factory would be working. No one would have lights. No one would have air conditioning. Without fossil fuels, we wouldn't be able to cook. No, I'm sorry, you wouldn't be able to barbecue. Well, maybe if you had charcoal. I'm not sure if they still will allow charcoal, but propane, absolutely not. We wouldn't be able to operate our schools. We wouldn't be able to operate our hospital. How are you going to operate a hospital with no electrical power? Can any of you environmental wingnuts explain any of this to me? I take it all back. You woke people, all of you green energy people out there. And by the way, when we're talking about what the green energy people have done to us, let's not forget that they pretty well are responsible for tanking the economy of Alberta and Newfoundland as well, and a little bit of Saskatchewan. They are responsible for the fact that hardly anybody in Quebec and nobody in the maritime provinces, including in New Brunswick, John, can buy Canadian oil or gas. You realize, you got that big truck of yours. You realize when you tank up in New Brunswick that you are burning foreign gasoline, right?
Yes, sir.
You can't get Canadian gas. The environmentalists will not allow you to have Canadian gas or oil. No, it's got to come from Saudi Arabia or more likely the United States. We got to help out Joe Biden, right? So these are just some of the things. It's unbelievable what's going on here, folks. I repeat, because it just doesn't seem to be getting through to a lot of minds. I still hear people saying, "Oh, we'll wind and solar will do it. That's the energy source of the future." Wait a minute. Today, the day we need it the most, less than 2% from solar and wind combined. Where would we be today if that's all we had? Oh, well, if we only had electric cars, I guess we wouldn't be driving cars either. John, you've got some texts coming in.
Yes, we do. Thanks to everybody for sharing this video, especially on your Facebook feed, especially since I am prohibited from doing a lot of promotion right now on Facebook. We especially appreciate the help. We're also on Twitch and we're on YouTube. You post your comments. I will let you know that I've seen them, and they are on my list to get to Lowell. Let's begin with the text here at 613-413-2217. Lowell, you must need to watch the documentary called The Planet of the Humans to understand this whole green energy scam. It's just a way to distribute money away from oil. This movie talks about chopping down trees as a renewable alternate fuel. Again, that is called Planet of the Humans. On Twitch, Chrissy says, power overload. Wow, still recall the 2003 blackout many years ago. Rolling power outages, hope not going to start again. Hydro will be through the roof this year with the air conditioning full blast. Let me see. Over on Facebook, we have got Peter saying carbon credits, green energy, big windmills, solar panels, huge scam for former Premier Wynne. Doug says, doesn't sound like the O train will be using a lot of electricity, so that should help. Oh, man.
I'm not sure if light rail is going to be using very much either.
That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Lori says, I think, Lowell, we're in trouble with this green energy. Mike says, unbelievable. Monkeys are running the zoo, Lowell, once again. And Ann says, are we going to be allowed to build a fire to cook our food and heat our cave?
Well, you know what? I mean, in Quebec, for example, they have banned many wood fires. So I would think that this comes next. No propane. As I say, I think the jury is still out on charcoal. Don't forget that charcoal is charred wood, so there's already been a lot of greenhouse gas created by the manufacture of charcoal. John, I have a letter here. You know, we're talking about how the green energy people, the environmental wingnuts, are increasing the cost of everything, and they are. I mean, not just the carbon tax, but everything. How, in fact, in many ways, they're destroying the economy of this country. Let me read you a letter, or part of a letter, that just once again outlines what these people are doing to us. This is a letter sent by the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers to all major appliance retailers, including Shield and Pakenham. Now, I'm not going to read it all, but the reason I'm reading here is because it's one more way that these environmental wackos are driving up the cost of everything. Listen to this. Natural Resources Canada recently informed the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers that they intend to move forward to make federal mandatory energy standard levels equal Energy Star levels for all new home appliances by 2022. The proposal will affect washers, dryers, dishwashers, refrigerators, and freezers, making them all go to Energy Star levels. Appliances not meeting the Energy Star levels will be ineligible for sale. And then they give the current percentage of model shipments not meeting Energy Star levels. 77% of freezers, 73% of clothes dryers, 39% of refrigerators, 37% of clothes washers, and 12% of dishwashers. Those are the ones who presently do not meet the Energy Star levels. Now, here's what I'm talking about. What happens when these people start taking charge? Quote, if Canada unilaterally moves forward with making Energy Star levels mandatory, the number of models available to Canadians will decrease dramatically. Entry-level models such as top-load washers, certain clothes dryers, and refrigerators with the freezer on top may no longer be available in Canada, meaning that low-income Canadians will be disproportionately impacted. It is not likely that manufacturers will redesign products to expand consumer choice and fill the gap, given that the Canadian market is only about 10% of the U.S. market. The models that will remain available are likely to be higher in cost. We also expect that product inventories will run even lower for the appliances that are already in high demand right now, leading to increased back orders and longer wait times. Moreover, the new requirements, if implemented, would mean different labeling requirements for Canadian products that will be noticeable to consumers. The letter goes on. But essentially what they're saying is, the environmentalists are saying, listen, we're going to make sure that all appliances sold by Shield and everybody must conform to Energy Star. And if they don't, you won't be able to sell them. And this, by the way, 2022 is next year. So essentially what this means is, if you think that you need an appliance, not a bad idea to buy it right now, to get the order in right now, because in all probability the costs are going to go way up and the availability will go way down. This is Mark Shield just trying to warn everybody of what's going on. This is one small thing that probably the rest of the media will just totally ignore, but it's another small step to drive up the cost of living, as if the cost of living was not high enough in this country. Now what they're saying is, that appliances, which have always been rather reasonably priced, in all probability, in order to meet this so-called Energy Star level, that this means that the price is going to go up and the availability is going to go down. Beautiful. Just one more small incremental thing that these environmentalist wackos are doing to us. Unbelievable. John, yeah, well, I'm just that's a commercial for Shield.
That was your commercial for Shield?
Okay. Yeah, it is, absolutely. Mark sent me
No.
this and just wants to alert all of his customers. Listen, he's got most of this stock now, but come this time next year, he probably won't be able to sell it. So if you want one of these reasonably priced appliances, not a bad idea to get the order in now, okay? Once again, here's the environmentalists driving up the cost of everything. And as the letter points out, it disproportionately affects low-income people. John, we have some more texts here.
I knew that was a letter from Shields. I just want to make sure that you didn't need to get a sponsor mentioned in there as well.
Okay, great.
Covering my butt. All right, Peter says, no wonder old appliances lasted 30 to 40 years, but now that 1 to 2 years, the protesters of old now are elected MPs or assistants in offices to push the agendas of failed leftist policies. Mark says, put the windmills near Trudeau. He's blowing lots of hot, useless air on the campaign trail of an unnecessary election. Nina says, just think about all our electric cars stalled on the 417 because we don't have enough solar power and windmills in our backyards. Robert says, green energy, the biggest scam the Ontario Liberals have forced on the taxpayers. The truth be told, there would be no windmills or solar panels without fossil fuels. Carolyn says wind turbines have oil in them, and what happens to them when they reach the end of the life, plus all the energy it takes to put them together and the gas and trucks to get them to where they are installed. Got a couple of emails here. The address is lowell@blasttheradio.com. We begin with Lisa. She says, Lowell, environmentalist woke people won't be happy till every home and building is leveled and we're all living in wigwams and teepees. Rob in Carlton Place also emails. Again, the address lowell@blasttheradio.com. I wish we could shut off 99% of the power to the homes, these woke people, and see how they like it. The damage done to this province is immeasurable. Keep the comments coming, folks.
I have another topic here. Some of the relatives of those people trapped in Afghanistan are saying that if any member of their family is murdered or tortured by the Taliban, then Justin Trudeau has blood on his hands. This is what relatives of Afghanis are saying here, that if any of their relatives over there are caught by the Taliban and murdered, Justin Trudeau has blood on his hands. And it certainly looks as if more than a few of them are going to be murdered. It's a grim situation. Now, unfortunately, the Liberal government is trying to pretend that there's a story today about how they're speeding up the process. That's not true. It's not true. These people who work for us, our allies, in most cases are locked in their homes out of fear, or they have already been caught by the Taliban. If they try to get to the airport, I'm not even sure if there's a Canadian plane waiting for them, but if there is, how the hell do they get to the airport? How do they get through the streets that are being patrolled by armed Taliban looking for them? And so it's quite astonishing. As a matter of fact, Trudeau himself finally had to tell us the truth. Here is his direct quote. This is the Prime Minister of Canada. Quote, "It is almost impossible to bring most of the Afghanis who worked with us and their families to safety. The Taliban are blocking our rescue attempts," unquote. In other words, most of those who helped us, those that we promised to look after, are on their own, abandoned by Canada, left to be caught, tortured, and murdered by the Taliban. We know that there are about 1,500 translators and about 5,000 family members we are responsible for, along with workers of other types. But because Trudeau was too busy planning his vanity project, his election, he just totally ignored all the warning signs. We have known for months that this was going to happen. We should have all of our people out. They should have been out long ago. But he diddled and dawdled and fiddled and fooled around with his bloody unwanted election. And as a consequence, we have stranded more than 6,000 of our allies in Afghanistan, many of whom you can be sure will be caught and murdered. I agree with the relatives of those who are now trapped. If any of our allies are murdered in Afghanistan, there is blood on Trudeau's hands. He should have looked after this long ago. A lot of the emphasis now is on the United States because they made the same damn mistake. That doesn't relieve the Prime Minister of any responsibility. We haven't had troops in there since 2014. We have had all kinds of time to get our people out. They should have been out a year ago, 2 years ago. They certainly should have been out a month ago, 2 months ago. To leave it now and then for Trudeau to say, well, we can't get them all out and blame the Taliban. It's not the Taliban. Sure, you can blame the Taliban, but who's responsible for leaving them abandoned? We send troops, or we don't know. Are they special forces? What are they doing? What can they do? How can the troops go? Kabul is a big city, 5 million people or whatever. You really think that the Canadian troops are going to go into the center of Kabul to help? How would they know where these people are? How would they know where the allies are? Very clearly, they're hiding in many cases. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. It's shameful. And you know what? If Trudeau doesn't wear any of this, then it'll be just one more illustration of the tremendous bias in the media in this country. This should be, as far as I'm concerned, right now, this is the number one issue. A lot of people think it's the cost of living. Certainly that's important. But I think the fact that we are abandoning some 6,000-7,000 of our allies, people we promised to help, it's including, by the way, these aren't all Afghanis. In some cases, these are Canadian citizens. Canadians who have gone to Kabul for different reasons, for business, to visit relatives, etc., etc. They too are stranded. So it's not just Afghan. If you don't care about the Afghanis, do you care about your fellow Canadians? Because there are fellow Canadians trapped over there as well that should have been evacuated long ago. Any comments on that, John? Are you still with us there?
I am here. You can hear me?
Yeah. Any text, any more comment coming in?
Oh, that's right. I'm not on the screen, and that kind of freaks you out when I'm not there. There I am.
Yeah, okay. There we are.
I'm sorry about that. 613-413-2217. I agree with these claims of blood on his hands. It's been 5 months they had to do this. Follow-up comment. O'Toole was asked about this today, and the Liberal media's question leaned on, should we be flying too many people back with not enough seats on the plane like the USA, meaning it's not safe to do so. Oh, what about staying there? Asks this texter. Darlene says, problem with Canada, most of us were born and don't demand enough with the madness. Darlene followed to say Trudeau had blood on his hands long ago. Peter, thanks for posting on Facebook. He says there hasn't been a lift of people from the Afghani airport in 10 plus hours, according to CNN. The people can't be verified to leave. There are 3,000 to 4,000 people wanting into the airfield. Women and men are literally throwing babies over the fences, trying to get them to freedom. The U.S. State Department knew a month ago this was going to happen.
So Mike says,
Yep. So do we.
Let's not absolve Trudeau here. I know this is one of the problems that, like, most of the emphasis now and the criticism is directed at Biden for withdrawing the troops. Well, you can criticize all you want, but the fact of the matter is that this country was aware of what was happening, just as the Americans were aware. We should have had our people out long ago. Come on, don't be afraid to hold the Prime Minister responsible. We all know why he diddled and dawdled here. He was preoccupied with his bloody vanity project called this unwanted, unnecessary election. He was dithering and daddling around about the election, planning the election, rather than looking after what he should have looked after, and that is our allies in Afghanistan. It's disgraceful. It's disgusting. You know what? I'm going to tell you that he may get away with it today, but history is going to hold him responsible. You can be damn sure. Sooner or later, he'll have to be held responsible for this. Centennial Glass. Now, we're going to get to text in a moment. Centennial Glass. I haven't any correspondence from them concerning increased prices, but you know that every year the price of everything goes up, cost of labor is going up. So my suggestion is, if you've got a project, even if you think that you're going to hold it off maybe until the winter or maybe next spring, might not be a bad idea to get an estimate right now. They'll give you an estimate and they will stick with it. No matter what happens, they will stick with that estimate because they're good, they're honest people. If it's glass of any kind, including emergency repairs, got a baseball through your window, got a golf ball through your window, give Centennial Glass a call, folks, in Ottawa or in Renfrew. They'll look after you. They'll do a good job. And you know what? They'll do it with a smile. Centennial Glass, Industrial Avenue here in Ottawa and in Renfrew. John, more texts.
Over to Twitch we go. Chrissy says, glad you're on this, Lowell. Other media, where's the priority or urgency of this top story?
Yeah, you know what the Liberals were concerned in the media to abortion. This is apparently the big issue now. You know, O'Toole has already made it very clear that he is pro-choice, etc. He's been very clear from day one on this, but somehow or other, the Liberals are trying to drag this up with all of these other problems that are out there: cost of living, forest fires, Afghanistan. It's the abortion issue. Come on. Do you think anybody is fooled by that? John, go ahead.
5 or 6 years to wrap up the show and wrap up the week. Mike says, how many years has he had to prepare for this, especially since Biden told everybody he was pulling out, too busy thinking about getting reelected once again? Darlene says, anyone who voted Liberals own what happens to these people in Afghanistan. They own this mess. Carrie says, Trump said a year ago that the U.S. would pull out. Biden said it 6 months ago. Terry says they said there weren't enough seatbelts on the planes, ? Apparently that was true. The U.S. had 14,000 people leave Afghanistan by airlift since last Friday, according to CNN, says one poster. Cheryl says, who is ever going to trust Canada again? And we do have a couple of emails here. Another one from Rob, who says, I want O'Toole to issue a call for all parties to pause campaigning so Trudeau can focus solely on freeing Afghans. Trudeau would have two options: agree and make O'Toole look like the real leader, or decline and let voters see him for the do-nothing, useless juvenile that he is. There you go.
Thank you all, folks. Have a good weekend. John, you're going to be pounding the beach. And
I can't wait.
And appealing to robots. Set me free, Facebook. Set me free.
That's all I want. Just let me broadcast the Lowell Green Show every day.
Take these chains from my Facebook. Thank you all. We'll be back.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.